Morning again. Absolutely amazing insights by Mr. Dev and absolutely stunning address by Dr. Batra. I'm Nishit. I'm the Head of Revenue and General Manager for Samsung Ads. I want to take your attention, I want to get your attention to a very small observation that I've observed. And as Dr. Batra also rightly mentioned, it is the era of storytelling. But what storytelling needs is a platform, and what it needs is attention. If you imagine yourself in the morning, you have your phone in hand, you are continuously scrolling, there is notifications firing, you're multitasking, there are work emails that you have to look at, that's fractured attention. But imagine yourself in the same setup in the evening. You're back from work, you head on to your couch, you sit on the couch, you switch on your television, and you start watching content. You're there, you're focused, and you're invested. That's focused attention, and that is the power of the big screen. And that's exactly what I'm here to unlock today. And hopefully through this presentation, I will also debunk a little bit of myth that we have regarding CTV. When you look at CTV, a couple of years back, just about say 2 to 3 years back, CTV was considered as a very future story. But it is not the case. CTV is no longer the future story, it is a now story. In fact, in 2026, we will be hitting almost 60 million households, which will now be addressable through a connected television. And even if you look at the AdX, and the reason why I mention AdX is because revenue ad spend was always considered to be one of the benchmarks of how you look at how a platform is growing. In 2025 alone, CTV revenues hit almost 6,000 crores. These are not estimated spends, these are actual spends which happened on a CTV platform. And when you look at 2026, it is going to surpass almost 8,000 crores. That is almost a 30 to 33% growth year on year. And almost 30% of the total budgets of the large screen has moved towards CTV. This tells us that CTV is no longer an experimental line item in your media plans. It is a must-have. It is an integrated media platform which gives you the impact of the big screen and the precision of digital. So when you talk about Samsung has been the #1 OEM manufacturer globally, and we've been holding that position since the last 20 years. We are not only the global leaders when it comes to volumes of TVs sold, but we are also global innovators. Samsung is the first OEM in the world to launch the 130-inch RGB TV. So micro RGB is the latest technology. It is one level up from the OLED and the QLEDs, if you guys know about the TV screen tech. And what we are also seeing is the audience or the consumer of today does not only want a larger TV screen, but they also want the latest technology. Whether it is AI upscaling, whether it is Sound Adaptive Pro, whether it is an AI companion, we have seen massive growth coming in from television screens which are larger in size, but also has the latest tech when it is embedded into that particular television. What Samsung has done is that we have launched something which is called as Vision AI. Now what Vision AI does, it makes your TV like an AI companion. I'm not talking only about the recommendations that the TV is throwing, that's in the past right now. What Vision AI does is that if you have a Samsung television, you will no longer need a remote to interact with the television. The television will be able to understand your hand gestures and operate accordingly. And this does not only change the way that as consumers we watch content, but it also changes the way how advertisers can reach these particular highly tuned in audiences. Apart from this, Vision AI also gives you recommendations in terms of, for example, let me start off with an example so that it is easier for you to relate to it. If there is a long weekend coming and you can ask the Vision AI companion on the television that, hey, I have a 4-day long weekend, suggest me some good places that I can go to. The TV is now capable of doing that. If you are watching IPL or if you're watching T20 or any cricket or any sport format and you only want to listen to the commentary and fade out the entire background noise, your TV is able to do that. Or if you want to reverse it, that is also possible. If you're watching a cooking show and you really like what is being cooked in that particular show and you want the recipe, the TV will now be able to tell you what the exact recipe of that cook is without having a third-party integration or any tech which needs to be involved. So when it comes to Samsung, we are global innovators, as I mentioned, and we are pushing the boundary to making this experience seamless and taking viewing experiences on a TV to a whole nother level. Here's a small snapshot of Vision AI is today.
Since the moment we turned it on for the first time, it's been there with our favorite shows. But now, with Samsung Vision AI, TV is about something bigger. You.
Me?
Yeah, you. Because your every day is something to celebrate.
You put way too many in.
And nothing should come between you and the moment.
Total of 1 cup of all-purpose flour.
And because you... Hold on. Did you just turn on the TV by barking? And because your old memories should always feel new.
Mom, this is so good.
You see, for the first time, the most important thing about television isn't playing on television. It's who's watching.
Isn't that amazing? In fact, we are pushing the boundary into understanding how Samsung households are uniquely valuable for advertisers. If you look at the kind of audiences that Samsung caters to today, our audiences are largely explorers who travel abroad. They are enthusiasts who are e-commerce enthusiasts who keep on purchasing stuff online. Our female and Gen Z audiences are actually want to understand a lot more about finance and investing. And these are aspiring homeowners who prefer to buy premium products online. Now, when you understand what the audiences is, you understand what the platform is, let's talk about the ad stack that we are here to deliver. When it comes to Samsung ads, we are the #1 OEM in terms of unrivaled reach in the country. Currently, we have about 15.7 million active TV devices, catering to a captive audience of almost 67 million. And we deliver the largest reach on a per day level, which is almost 4.5 million TV screens. So as technology advances, viewing behaviors also keep on changing. In fact, when we look at India, and I don't know if you guys are aware about it, but India has one of the largest streaming times in the world. When it comes to streaming, people today are accustomed to watching content over an OTT app. In fact, if you look at the total time spent only in streaming, an Indian consumer spends almost 7.6 billion hours on their television watching streaming content. If you go one step further, you might say that I understand that people switch on their television, but what is the kind of time they spend per session? A user spends almost 1 hour 10 minutes, which is 70 minutes on one session on his television screen. And when it comes to streaming versus linear, streaming is able to deliver almost 2.5x the impact of an ad which that user sees on a linear television. You might ask why. The reason being, when it comes to streaming, it is pre-decided. A user understands what kind of content he wants to watch. There is no surfing. There is no decision paralysis. He directly logs in, he switches on the television, interacts, and the TV today has so much of girth of content which is available. The TV also recommends content to that particular user depending on what genre of content he likes to watch. So it delivers almost 2.5x more impact when it comes to a TV ad being played on a streaming environment. When you also look at the purchase journey, right, whether it is buying a car, whether it is buying a credit card or an insurance or even any lifestyle product, the journey is not a straight line. It used to be a showroom or a multi-brand outlet. Now the journey starts on a screen. And that screen can be any screen. And what we've done here, if you have a look at the slide, is we have mapped the entire user journey into 4 different aspects and how advertisers can actually use multiple touch points throughout this journey to create that kind of an impact for the particular user. So you can start with building the recognition. So what we do is we give the first level of engagement for any user. Let me again give you an interesting stat. When you look at the Indian TV consumer, an Indian TV consumer has about 5 apps that he watches on his television. Out of this, 3 apps are AWOD apps and about 2 apps are SWOD apps. So as soon as the user switches on the television, you get the first level of engagement of that particular user to build that kind of top of mind recall. Second, through immersive formats, you can actually engage the user through various targeting parameters, whether it is audience-based targeting, whether it is device-based targeting. So you can keep the user engaged and drive awareness. And the third is you can also trigger action using those engaged audiences. So there are a lot of these intense or intent-driven targeting which is now possible, which we used to call as in-market segments, which the TV now is able to understand depending on where that particular user has seen a particular ad, and using that you can actually drive incremental reach across your TV plus digital plans. And of course, in the end, you can trigger action either by having a QR code, or you can drive that user from the TV screen into the mobile screen. Or if it's during festive, what we have also seen is that a lot of brands do a lot of storytelling and create larger format videos, which are about 2 to 3 minute videos, which cannot be hosted on any particular platform. But at Samsung, since we own the hardware, we own the software, and we own the ad stack, you can actually redirect the user from the home screen and deep link that particular user to any of the apps. So now you might ask me that what does a CTV ad playbook look like? What, as advertisers, what should you consider while creating an ad plan for a CTV environment? So here we have bifurcated into 3 different parts. So one, as I mentioned, you can amplify the product using the home screen, or there is also another product which is called as a Samsung TV Plus, which is basically a FAST service. For the uninitiated, FAST stands for free ad-supported streaming television. And we were just discussing in the speaker lounge, now when you move into a Samsung multi-brand retail outlet or a Samsung experience store, TVs are no longer only sold on the basis of the television screen technology. So usually if you imagine yourself buying a television, the attendant will tell you this is a 50-incher, it has Neo QLED, it has QLED. But now the attendant will also talk to you about the service which comes with the television, which is the FAST service, where you get almost 160 to 170 channels absolutely free of cost. And these are all live feeds which come directly from the publisher. Second, you can actually create an always-on sort of a strategy. When we look at, and people who have worked with linear buying understand this terminology which is called as NPT, which is National Prime Time. So you might ask, when it comes to CTV, does NPT exist? The answer is yes and no, and let me explain. Linear television viewership hovers at somewhere about 10% throughout the day, but during the national prime time, which starts at somewhere about 6 in the evening, your streaming behaviors rise, and streaming audiences actually tune in, and the percentage is 97% of streaming versus just 3% of linear. So you can create your high impact audiences, you can create a campaign which is high reach during these moments. And also during tentpole moments, we have seen the viewership rise to about 25% more than what we see on a per day basis. So although tentpole gives you a rise in viewership, but we have also seen micro moments throughout the day, wherein the content that is available for the user can now be watched not on appointment viewing, but on video on demand basis. We also have interactive ads which talks about click to action that I just mentioned, and you can also drive consideration through clicking of QR code or scanning of QR code. And CTV gives you the best of attribution when it comes to your ad measurement strategy, because I know for a fact that at least 70% of people in this room would think about the measurement capabilities of CTV. Although we have not reached to a stage where you can get end-to-end omni-channel conversion, but there are metrics like brand lifts and incremental reach where it gives you a complete understanding of where that buck that you have spent on marketing is actually landing. So when it comes to the ad inventories and the first level of engagement that I was talking about, here's a small snapshot of how a home screen immersive ad looks on a television.
आज तो खूबसूरत नए रिश्ते बंधेंगे, आज वक्त थम जाएगा और बेइंतहा प्यार शुरू हो जाएगा। गहने जिनसे जन्मों तक दिल न भरे, इंद्रिया आदित्य बिरला ज्वेलरी।
So when it comes to home screen, we always talk about measurement, we always talk about reach, clicks, impressions, etc. But what is not being talked about much is the creative strategy. Now please understand, one of the major segment of TVs getting sold in India today are 55 inches to a 60 and a 65 inches. And a home screen immersive ad almost takes up about 35% of that total real estate on the TV screen. You need to create creatives which are 4K in quality, because the TV is now capable of giving you that 4K creative on the particular TV screen. The kind of storytelling that a 4K creative creates on the TV screen is much larger than that same creative being watched on a smaller screen through doom scrolling. And also when you look at measurement, we have seen double-digit lifts across brand KPIs that we have run for brands across categories in the ecosystem today. Here's a small snapshot of how Chanel leveraged the home screen ad, and they were actually able to garner the highest amount of single-day reach across that entire campaign. Also, when we talk about Samsung TVs, and as I mentioned that there is Samsung TV Plus, which is readily available for consumers, what people are also looking at today is that do you get that seamless experience of watching an ad on television like you used to get the experience while watching broadcast television. Today, if you own a Samsung TV, you get almost 170 channels absolutely free of cost. And these channels are integrated and have seamless integration within the TV ecosystem. So if you're running an ad on television, and if you want to replicate that same ad on Samsung TV Plus, the TV will now programmatically be able to ingest ads depending on what edit of the ad that you have, whether it's a 10-seconder, 20-seconder, or a 30-seconder. We've been doing a lot of data analysis and inventory analysis through either Nielsen or Kantar. And what we've realized is that streaming audiences today on a connected TV are okay to watch ads, are okay to be exposed to ads till the time the ads are relevant to them and the ads are specifically targeted to them. So here's a small snapshot of what TV Plus is today.
शादी करने का बहुत
संदूक आओ।
Even using TV Plus, you can use this inventory to create reach and recall and create frequency-driven campaigns across these 150 odd channels. And even on TV Plus, we have seen double-digit brand lifts across brand KPIs whenever we run a campaign across categories. Here's a small example of how Policy Bazaar maximized the influence of the larger screen and was actually able to cater to their audiences.
The thing about insurance is that while most people would agree that it's important, it's very rarely top of mind. At Policy Bazaar, our effort has been to help every family in India understand the importance of health and term insurance. An untimely mishap or an unplanned hospitalization can deeply impact families and cause not just emotional but also financial distress. We wanted to ensure that our message reached the right audience in key moments, particularly when the entire household gathers to spend quality time together. And while a lot has changed in the way we consume content, one thing hasn't. Indians love watching TV. The big screen continues to be a crucial touchpoint to build meaningful connections with our audience. When we met with Samsung ads, we understood that nearly 40% of their CTV users do not watch linear TV content and are moving towards FAST. This gave us an opportunity to reach out to digital native audiences and add incremental reach to our brand campaigns. Samsung's proprietary ACR tech further helped us analyze the complexity of reaching viewers who would otherwise be lost behind the paywall. We also had to make sure that we were reaching out to viewers beyond metros, connecting with them to make our proposition more relatable. We combined this audience data with Samsung's geo-targeting capabilities to reach out to key households in a language familiar to them. The results have been encouraging. We have reached over 4.5 million Samsung households since the launch of the campaign. Aided awareness and purchase intent have both gone up by 20%. Samsung Ads is helping us reach out to audiences who matter, precisely, effectively, and measurably. The right strategy at the right time with the right partners makes for a winning combination.
So when it comes to Samsung, we are not only looking at standard IB format ads that you can reach out to your audiences using our inventory. We have also recently launched something which is called as the Spotlight Row, wherein the TV will now recommend different kinds of ads or different kinds of content which are now open for endemics and non-endemics, where you can drive the user from the home screen to either an app, to a website, or to a third-party URL. And all of this is possible using our technology which is called as ACR, which stands for Automated Content Recognition. How automated content recognition works is that every time you switch on your television, there is a screenshot of the screen which is taken every 500 milliseconds, which is half a second. And that is converted into metadata and passed against a DMP, which will then throw you certain intelligent cohorts. Using that, there are 3 levels of targeting which now becomes available. One is on the device level. So as soon as the TV is switched on and connected to the internet, you know what is the location using IP triangulation. You also know what is the kind of TV that is being watched, whether it's a Neo QLED, 40-incher, 50-incher, etc. You also get to know the date of activation of newer televisions and the ISP that the TV is connected to. We also understand the user app behavior. For example, we are the only platform who can actually give you access to users who are sitting behind the paywall. For example, users of Netflix, Lionsgate, all the content which is behind. So you can actually target users who are SWOT consumers. And you can also target users basis their content watching preferences, whether it is genre based or whether it is content based. Plus, just to give a caveat, this is we don't collect any PII data, so we are a GDPR, CCPI and DPDP now compliant platform, so we don't collect any first party data. Apart from this, if I have to sum it up, with Samsung Ads, you actually get the power of the big screen and the precision targeting of digital. All your ads run on a completely brand safe environment and you get the deterministic results using our technology, which is ACR. Thank you guys, you've been a great audiences. Thank you so much.